Lookers, oh, I'm live. Hello everybody, I'm Paul Ducklin. This is Naked Security Live, coming to you on Friday as you've seen it for years and years. But you'll notice there's something a little bit different about this. Firstly, we're outside. That's something to do with self-isolation. I've gone somewhere where there won't be other people around, I hope. But the biggest difference is today, for me, the fourth most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my life, no adult supervision live on Facebook. So to Anna, Charlotte, Mark, Alice and Harry, who've always looked after me in the past, if you're watching, please don't laugh if something terrible goes wrong. By the way, just if you're wondering why I'm outside or where I am at the very edge of a surprisingly well-known but not that well visited by tourists part of Oxford called Port Meadow, which is a famous grazing ground. You can find people stabling their horses there. It's a lovely outside place. What I didn't bear in mind is that, unfortunately, I forgot about the fact that there's an express railway line right behind. So if you hear trains flying past, that's because I may not have chosen the location very wisely. So what are we here to talk about today? Well, as you see from the topic title, it's Has Phishing Changed? Now we're all working from home. And the reason I wanted to answer that question today is quite a lot of readers have been asking us. They say, look, I'm working from home now. Things are kind of similar but a bit different. There's the coronavirus pandemic. The crooks, we're reading a lot of news about how the crooks are hanging their hats on this. Are we more at risk? And what on earth are we going to do? Hey, Jasmine. Hi. And just so you know, it's all going okay so far. So, has phishing changed because of coronavirus scams and the fact that crooks are getting into that? Yes, it has, but the core of it is still exactly the same. Because if you think about what phishing is all about, it's using electronic messaging means to get you to divulge information that you wouldn't normally do so. Of course, the changes we've seen are along the lines of many crooks taking old scams and reusing them for new. So if you are on the lookout for things that seem a little bit far-fetched to do with coronavirus and COVID-19, you will probably easily find emails that you need to delete, not read, not open, not look at. For example, just about 5 minutes before setting off here, I actually received one of those inheritance scam emails. Of course, this time the person isn't dying of cancer or pancreatitis or some wasting heart disease or something like that. They've got coronavirus and they think they're in a lot of trouble, so they're looking for my help in disbursing some money. So they've taken a very old-fashioned scam and coronavirusized it. If you go to nakedsecurity.sophos.com, you'll see an article we wrote yesterday about a scam that the Sophos security team found, where it's kind of sextortion with a whole new vile and disgusting angle. Firstly, they put the price up from $2,000 to $4,000, and secondly, as well as revealing your dirty little secrets, because obviously they've caught you with malware via your webcam or whatever it is, they're also suggesting that because they've been tracking you, they know where you live, they know your friends, and they know your family, that they're actually going to locate your family and come and infect them all with coronavirus. Presumably they're supposed to be infected. Pretty disgusting, but it's an old idea, sextortion turned into corona-stortion, as you might say. And of course we've seen malware with a coronavirus theme. Usually the way the crooks legitimize that is that they kind of put a World Health Organization logo in, or they put a Centers for Disease Control logo in, so it's brand hijacking of the worst sort of order. And then there'll be a document you have to read, and the document still uses those old tricks of saying enable macros to see the content, you need to do this, it's important. So it's the same tricks but under a new guise. So yes, phishing has changed at least some of it, but remember, the really important thing is for every cook who jumps onto a new threat bandwagon when it comes along, whether it's bushfires, whether it's rising prices, whether it's Brexit. By the way, I haven't heard anybody going on about Brexit in the last couple of weeks, so that's a sort of silver lining, if you like, to the coronavirus stories. All of those things, anything that crooks can hang their hats on, there'll be some crooks who do it and there'll be some who deliberately go elsewhere. So whatever you do, the most important thing is, if you're really worried about digital scams relating to coronavirus and COVID-19, don't just look out for those. Don't let that let you take your eyes off the ball of all the other stuff that plenty of crooks are still doing. So mixed in with the inheritance scams that have got coronavirus in them, you're still going to get the old school ones. Mixed in with the phishing that says, hey, you need to read this document because it's about the coronavirus, it's really important, and it's about what's happening with schools in your area, etc., etc. For all of those, you're still going to get those emails that say, hey, I'm applying for a job, will you open my document to see my CV? You'll get the fake invoices, you'll get the people who want to warn you that, you know, your Amazon account or your PayPal account is in danger, log in here and try and fish your password that way. So the old scams simply aren't going to go away. So very quickly, what can you do about it? And for the IT team who are supporting probably more remote users than they have for a long time, what can they do about it? Let's very quickly go through that. So the most obvious thing that you need to do with phishes is not let them trick you into giving away information that you're not supposed to. That's what phishing is all about, and that is the thing you have to defend against, and it kind of doesn't really matter how you do it. So the simplest rule to remember is, if in doubt, don't give it out. If there's a link you have to click and it takes you to a login page, ignore it. If there's a login that you need to do, you should know how to get to the login page by yourself. So don't be tricked that way. Login links, beware. The second thing to look out for, if there's an attachment, then typically when the crooks give you a document, inside the document there may be further links. Don't think, oh well, those links are safe because they're not in the email itself. They arrived in the email, they're hidden in a document, they're taking you a couple of steps away from the original email to loosen you up a little bit. Just remember, links in documents, whether they're doc files or PDF files, are just as dangerous if they take you to the wrong place as a link directly in the email itself. And lastly, if you get a document from crooks that comes up with some bogus reason why you need to enable content, that's the way they put it. Some of them even have a little arrow saying click here, and they show you where the option is on the screen. What they're asking you to do is not enable content, they're asking you to enable what are called macros, background programming subroutines that can be embedded in a document to help you with workflow. Now, those are okay to use if they're documents that are built inside the company, but when they come from outside, all they are a way for crooks to inject programs into your network and for you to approve them. So that enable content that the crooks are talking about, it's no such thing at all. What they're doing is saying, I sent you a document, by the way, there's a secret program in here, why don't you turn that on, why don't you enable that, why don't you bypass all the security warnings? And of course then they're probably going to implant malware in your computer. That could end up with a keylogger. At the end of the day, you may even end up with a ransomware attack. So do remember that. Never let an email tell you what to do with the contents of the email if it seems to go against your security guidelines. Microsoft, many years ago, turned off macro execution in documents by default with a very, very good reason. It's because they were being so widely abused by crooks that you almost never needed to run macros in documents from outside. So if Microsoft is saying no, don't do it, don't let the crooks talk you into the other way around. So the bottom line is, coronavirus pandemic or not, all the old rules still apply. If in doubt, don't give it out, and think before you click. And when you open documents, don't let the document tell you what to do. So let's finish very quickly by saying, what can we do the other way around for people in IT teams who are looking after people who can't come and ask them face to face, who can't just leave their computer on the side and then go and ask in person. They have to use the computer on which they received the scary message to call for help. If you haven't yet set up a centralized email address for your staff, something like, say, cybersecurity 911 911 at yourcompany.example, somewhere where people can call in with problems, please do so immediately. It's a very, very good way to let your users call in for help. Now, the reason I say that works well is that when you think about how many phishing attacks unfold, it is a case of an injury to one is an injury to all. The crooks don't normally send one email. They'll have an email address this long, and there'll be loads of people in your company who will almost certainly be on that list. And what that means is when they're doing a phishing campaign, even if they're not specifically targeting your company, it might reach 10, 20, 50, even 100 people inside the company. And if one person makes a mistake, that could be the only foothold the crooks need. So if you have a way that the first person who sees the problem and recognizes it for a problem, if you have an easy way that they can warn the next guy, then actually you can protect the whole company much better. and we spoke about this on Naked Security a couple of times this week. I think we spoke about it also in last week's Facebook Live. We're saying the deal is it's all about the people. It doesn't matter what technology you're using to increase your security or to look after mobile workers during the coronavirus pandemic. What matters is the people, and help your users to help you, because they are always going to be your last line of defense. So I hope that was helpful to you folks. I hope that there wasn't too much background noise, and I hope you did hear some birds tweeting, and maybe you recognize that it is okay to go out and get some exercise. So I just want to say, before I finish, I'm obviously going to end with until next time, stay secure, but I want to give thanks to the Naked Security mobile outside broadcast equipment van. There it is. That's how all this stuff got here, and it remains for me to say thanks for listening, and until next time, stay secure. And the finish button is very hard to press because it